Hey Disney friends, it's Amber with Mickey Travels. We are going to cover a video that I've never done before or have had this topic mentioned in any of my videos because I like to keep things positive for the most part and not sit there and dwell on things that are terrible about a place that I enjoy so much. But there are people that get questions or send me questions all the time about like negative things toward Disney. And I really don't have that, but I do have a list of things you should not do when planning your trip, but these aren't in a sense negative. So I've taken a twist on things here, and it's going to be things that you should consider making sure you don't do when planning for a Disney trip. So these are my do nots of Disney World.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
I hope this isn't like a clickbait thing for you, because I know a lot of the videos that are like negative tend to get more likes and clicks. So this isn't in a sense bad things that are at Disney, but things that are bad as far as while you're planning that you should not be doing. So I apologize if you thought this was going to be like Disney is terrible, don't do this, but it's not going to be that. Okay, so first off, actually, look at this cute notebook. We have a store in our area called Box Lunch, and like they have entire sections devoted to just Disney, and I'm a huge fan of like things that I can use at my desk at school. So pens, pencils, notepads, etc. So this was amazing. I got this for Christmas. All right, back on topic. All right, so first thing I have on here has to do with dining reservations. Do not book table service restaurants if you're wanting lots of time in the parks. So I'm gonna try to keep like right here a reminder of what I just said. So they'll be popping up right here in this section of my list. The reason I say that is if it's your first time in the parks and you wanna get a lot done because you are not gonna be able to ride everything your first few times at Disney, then planning a table service dinner or lunch or a breakfast every single day of your trip is going to take up an hour to an hour and a half per restaurant. That's prime park riding time. So usually I suggest maybe one or two here and there. Now, if you're on the dining plan, of course, you're going to be booking plenty, but you need to strategize and decide, make sure it's not during prime park time. So if for sure you want to dine in a couple of the places in the parks, stick to those, and then maybe do your dinner after you're done with the park, or do your breakfast before you enter the park. Try not to do it right as you're in the park and taking away from that time. We usually do a few table service here and there in the parks. We typically like to stick with quick services while in the parks and do the table services at other locations afterwards. Number 2, do not plan full days without breaks. Having children at Disney World is pretty chaotic. I know it's meant for them. My husband and I do not have kids. So we don't have to deal with this, but we ourselves also need to plan breaks while at Disney. It gets very hot in the afternoons, so my suggestion usually is to go from opening till mid-afternoon, take a break and come back. And of course, with a base ticket, you can come back to any park that you've already visited that morning, or with a park hopper, you can go to a different park. This is perfect because Disney parks are open very late, especially in the summer, and they have fireworks shows and other kinds of shows for you to watch. And if you have cranky kids who have been in a park all day, it's gonna make for a miserable experience. And you can see meltdowns happening all over the place for those who didn't take that advice. Now, some people are gung-ho and say, well, we'll sleep when we're dead kind of thing. But just remember, it is rather exhausting trying to be at Disney, and so it is very wise to make sure you do plan the breaks when you're sitting down and making your plan. Do not visit parks with extra magic hours if you plan on spending the whole day in that park. So I'm not anti-extra magic hours here. I'm gonna stay in Magic Kingdom all day because they had extra magic hours in the morning. Okay, the reason for this is typically following crowd calendars, parks that have extra magic hours are the most crowded of that day. So most people, I feel like they think they have to go to that park because they're staying on property. They're like, oh, we get the extra magic hours, we have to go. Personally, we only do the evening extra magic hours at Magic Kingdom. The rest we don't feel are necessarily worth it as far as getting in lines faster. Because if you think about it, at Epcot, there's just a few rides and you only have the 2 hours to do that. I mean, that's not worth being in the park when it's crowded during the day just to make sure we're in extra magic hours at night. So Magic Kingdom extra morning hours are pretty useful because you can get a lot done in those first few hours, dipping into the 9 and 10 o'clock hour, and then maybe go take your break and swim, etc. Maybe come back that night, but do not spend the whole day there because it will be the most crowded park of the day, and that goes for all 4 parks. Here is one about rides. I get asked a lot, what is your least favorite ride at Disney World? And I don't know if I have one. That's so cheesy, I know, I don't. I try to ride everything at least one time, and I suggest that for you too. Ride everything once so that you can at least experience it, and don't just automatically assume someone that told you this is a terrible ride, because it might be your favorite, because it's a small world. I tolerate that. Carousel of Progress, instant classic. A lot of people don't like it, so ride it all. But anyway, Fastpass. Do not Fastpass shows. Now, the reason is a lot of people, when that Frozen show came out at Hollywood Studios, thought they had to Fastpass it. It's even considered on my Fastpass sheet I send to people a top Fastpass for that park. That will no longer be the case with Star Wars opening, etc. So I consider all shows a non-Fastpass because the way they enter you into the stage area is Fastpass people go first, they have a little area, and then everyone else just flows through, and they may even get to sit with the Fastpass people. So you've saved like 5 minutes. And then I've also heard that like people at other shows let them all in at the same time. And it's like, what's the point in fast passing the show if everyone's going in at the same time? So unless you're needing something just to randomly fill because you don't have a third choice, don't fast pass a show. That's the opposite for characters. I do encourage you fast pass character meet and greets. You're the type of planner that doesn't want to make reservations and you just want to go on a whim and dine when you're hungry at table services. That doesn't necessarily work for all locations. So my next one is do not rely on walk-ups for table service restaurants. 100% sure that character locations will most likely turn you away or make you wait for hours if you try to walk up. Now, the non-character ones will probably be easier, but do not rely on that because it may be an extra crowded weekend for some reason. Maybe there was a marathon you didn't know about. Maybe it's a weekend in general. Maybe it's the prime summer season and you think, well, no one will want to dine here. Go ahead and on your phone, even when you're there. So maybe you didn't pre-plan any of it in the first place. But when you get there and you're talking to your family, okay, we're gonna go to Magic Kingdom today, let's see what's open. Go ahead and book it at a time you think will be comfortable for you. It's just more reliable to have the reservation than to try to walk up because I have people that do it and I worry that they're gonna get turned away and then just spend like half an hour to an hour just trying to find a reservation at any place in the park. Do not wait too late to book your dining. So that kind of ties together. So booking your vacation late, I mean, I get it. Some people just how many times am I gonna say that? On a whim. Some people just randomly wanna go to Disney and so they book a few months before they travel. If you book a year or more in advance, you should have plenty of time to be researching your dining and then get it at that 180-day mark. Don't book early and then just kind of wait and then everything will be gone. So make sure you are sticking to the timeline as far as not waiting too late to book dining reservations. So if you want to make sure you get dining at a certain place, make sure you are planning far enough in advance. I've booked a Be Our Guest actually like a month ago for a client just by randomly looking. So it is possible, but again, if it's something you're gung-ho about, make sure you are planning that trip a ton in advance. Don't assume you're gonna get Be Our Guest and Cinderella 2 weeks before you arrive. It's more than likely impossible. And the same with the fast passes on like Avatar and things like that. Do not forget to utilize the child swap, the first aid locations, and the baby services. So child swap is a service where if you have multiple children in your party, but 2 adults that want to ride a ride, the first adult can take a child through the ride while the other one has to wait for the other child that's not going to ride. They will get a card to come back, give to the other adult, and they don't have to go through the line. They can go through the fast pass line to ride that ride again, maybe with the same child, while the other parent waits back with the other one that didn't ride. So keep in mind, cast members are aware that you can kind of cheat the system with the fast passes, and if you fast pass the rides, then maybe one parent will fast pass one ride, like Flight of Passage, the other one will fast pass Navi River, and then they try to utilize the child swap. Disney has cracked down and will not let you child swap if you had only one person with the fast pass. So if you're gonna child swap, make sure everyone has the fast pass for the same ride. I hope that makes sense. Maybe I should do a whole video on child swapping. It's not like you walk up to like the guest services and you're like, I don't like my kid. Can you please take my kid? I wish. First aid and baby services. So these are free. You can go in if maybe you need a Band-Aid, if you've got like your heels rubbing on your shoe and you need to get a Band-Aid there, you've had a cut of some sort. And then the baby services, they've got wipes and diapers and things in case you did not pack them. And they're nice little quiet offices, and you can go in and kind of relax and take care of your needs there if it's stinking hot outside. Do not forget to screenshot your daily plans. There's magical enhancements all the time with My Disney Experience, and it crashes constantly. So you need to be sure that you have screenshot every single day of your trip to maybe use as your home screen, so that if the app is not working, you can show that yes, you do have a dining reservation at this time, or yes, you do have a FastPass at this time. It's been very hectic with a lot of people using My Disney Experience, specifically in the parks, that the system does crash sometimes, including Magic Bands. So if you show proof that this is what you were doing, you're good. Do not rely on renting strollers and wheelchairs or scooters specifically through Disney. So there are tons and tons of strollers, I understand that. Wheelchairs, scooters have some as well, but don't rely on every day going in and renting a scooter for the fact that they may be sold out. There are various services that rent off property that will deliver to your resort if you're staying, and that way you have it for the whole trip and you don't have to every day go back and pay the fee and grab the stroller and take out some precious Disney time. So plan ahead and maybe talk to your travel agent if you're working with them on what they use as far as booking those things. And the last thing I have in my Negative Nancy, not Negative Nancy video is do not underestimate the power of a cast member. These people have magic in their magic wands, in their hands, that they can do with just being nice to them, wearing specific buttons that say things, asking questions. They have a lot of power and can do many things. And I mean, if you're stuck with a question, they can point you in the right direction or help. If something's not working, they will do all in their power to help you. Even at resorts, I've had clients where the day just fell apart and nothing was working, and cast member was able to help them out and then give them something a little extra, like extra fast passes or something. So if you are having a really hard time, don't underestimate their power, because they can do a lot. And if you're nice and friendly, and they are most of the time in return, then there's magic waiting to happen. If you have any questions about any of my do-nots of Disney World, I'm sure I could do a part 2 series at some point as I go through some experiences, but these are the ones I just thought off the top of my head, dealing with make sure you do not do or do not forget to do these things on this list. If you're interested in using my planning services, they are 100% free for those who book through me, meaning that I help you with your trip through every step of the way if you book your trip through me. There is a process of transferring a reservation to me if you've just recently booked less than 30 days and have not paid in full, and you can contact me for more info about that. My email is in the comments section or in the information section, and my Facebook's there as well. I check those constantly. Have a magical day. I will see you really soon. Bye.